Okay, I have gone back to most of the ancient writers, and Ovid, O-V-I-D, wrote Metamorphosis, and this was considered an epic along the lines of the Bible, a masterpiece, a magnus opus. Modern use of creation has been given much critical praise, especially one that is considered the greatest work of a person's career. He went back and took all of the original texts from the first writers, Hesiod and Herodotus, and all of those people, and here's what he came up with. In the first lines of this epic, and I mean epic, it was huge. Look at all these books. The creation, the ages of mankind, flood, Deucalion, who was Noah, Noah's wife, Apollo, Daphne, Phaeton, all the way down the line, all of these crazy things he wrote about, and which had been written about in the Greco-Roman records. And here's what he came out with. The first thing he says, he's talking about metamorphosis. Metamorphosis is like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. It changes. It's a change, a complete change. Here's what he says right here, and they could do this. Metamorphosis is a transformation, unifying theme amongst the episodes of his writing, Metamorphosis. Ovid raises its significance explicitly in the opening lines of what they call the poem. And here's what it is in Latin. In nova fertanamus mutatus decri formas corpora. I intend to speak of forms changed into new entities. So something completely changes. It morphs, it metamorphoses. Accompanying this theme is often violence, which we see nothing but violence in these ancient texts, inflicted upon a victim whose transformation, listen to this carefully, violence inflicted upon a victim whose transformation becomes part of the natural landscape. All right, that's Ovid. That's 8 AD. Okay, this is about transition metals in your blood, and this whole thing focuses on the uptake, transport, and storage of iron. It illustrates the most important points, but all transition metals work the same way, transition metals in biology. All right, these are the transition metals. There's a bunch of them. They're in the center of the periodic chart. All of these carry things around your body. Every one of these is in your blood. And they have all these different oxygenation states. Oxygenation states means how many extra electrons or not enough electrons things are carrying. And then they want to react with hydrogen primarily, but oxygen and hydrogen are so intertwined that the whole thing becomes a complex, and the metal stays in the center. And as this moves through your body, other elements in your body will need some of these metals, or actually what the metal it has grabbed onto, the ligand, which is the molecule, it drops it off, glucose or whatever it is. Oxygen, and it drops. Oxygen is being dropped complete. That's why they're focusing on oxygen. And oxygen is the key to everything, basically, in your body. A couple of minutes, you're dead. You don't have it. Okay, these guys are great. And these are geode cracking with a chain vise. And it breaks them open so you can really see what's inside. That's the black blood, and that's the red blood. And that's where that stalk would be coming in. I'm going to be showing you in great detail how these are formed. All right, this is about as close as what he has to what I have. And he's going to be showing, I'm going to let this play for a second. Listen.
Mystery geode, I found it in my pile. It rattles, and I don't know
this
where
one?
I got it.
This one here?
Cracking, yeah.
Oh yeah. Y'all hear that? It's a rattler, which means there's probably some loose quartz crystal.
You see how that one's sort of discombobulated? Same thing with this. Mine doesn't rattle, but I'm going to show you where the blood vessels are. And I would like them to start looking, because he's got a ton of these.
In there or something.
I was trying to see if I could see the
Not sure
blood
where it
vessel.
even came from.
Wow.
But I can tell
So how
there's...
many spots do you have in this location, probably?
Probably 40 to 50. You know, I got two just within walking distance of here, and one I ride my bike to.
Wow. 40 or 50 different spots. A spot right near his house. That's the way to do it.
Oh, that could be it right there. That could be the blood supplies right there. Where did I show you mine? I'll show you in the microscope. Pop. Okay.
There he goes. That's a good one. If they crack that easy. Here we go. Here we go.
There it is right there. Yes, it is. You see it right there. That's the entryway right there. And that's still got a tiny taste of blood in it. Now, let me show you my artery and vein in mine. That's exactly it right there. Hold on. Let's go back and look at it one more time. Look, there it is. And he's going to find them, and every single one will have it. All right, remember, I'm claiming I think that's probably the spot right there. Now, here's my geode in my microscope here. This is one of these telescope microscopes. There it is right there. That's the blood vessel. And that's literally red blood. And there was a strap attached to this right in this area somewhere. Right in this area, I believe right there. And they're finding little bits and pieces like this when they smack them open right on the edge of, because they crack right along these lines. Now let's take a look at the black blood area. This would be the red blood area, the artery. Okay, I want to mention this was the crystal collector. I think I might have mentioned it before, but that's who it is that had done this with all these geodes. Now, as again, I have the same geode here, not like this one, but you know, I'm going to show you the black side. I showed you where the artery side was, and he's got them all, and I think I found some that he was showing. Now, here's my geode right there, and I showed you, or I will show you the artery side, and this is the vein side. Veins have the black blood. Now, this is, it's a little hard to see because they sort of just make a blob. But I believe this right here is where the actual blood would have come out of. And it's, I don't know, this is a little different than this. This looks like it ran down this way. And this just sort of ran down like that, congealed down there. Because they're all going to have some kind of, right there, actually, it's not that huge piece. I believe it's right here. I believe it's right there. Again, these things need some serious looks. But I'm doing the best I can with what I got. Oh, I almost forgot to show you anatomically what he's looking at, these little stalks and these balls. Alright, anatomically this is what it looks like. And there's usually two, you know, the vein and the artery coming in, and that's all that wrinkly looking stuff on the outside. And the straps break off right here. There's what they call an abrupt transition, or I do anyway. Now they're basically everywhere in your body. Anywhere where there's an anchor, where you can do pulling and twisting and all that, they're everywhere. And they're in clusters like you wouldn't believe. Only in us, they're so small you never see them. Alright, this is how they develop. And this is the stalk, it breaks off. And this is, they develop and they keep growing and growing and growing, and then they end up with this, like this. Now some of them are completely round, and some of them have this anchor spot at the bottom. But most of them, well, a lot of them are completely round. Let's just go with that. You see that? I can't account for how big these creatures were, but they were enormous. Every one of these little fibers in these little square bundles ends up going down to a ball somewhere down in the earth. And this was like a big muscular attachment or whatever. That's all I can tell you. That's what these fibers connect to. And I'll show you the anatomical. See this? They come down in these bundles and they get way down to these little tiny fibers. That's one of these fibers coming out of here. And then that one gives way to one of these, and that one gives way to one of these. And I think that's what we're looking at here, is the very end All right, because you see the bundles around it? There's those bundles around it, and then there's the little fibers inside of it. And eventually they hit where they lock in. And I'm sorry, my friends, these are not basalt from lava. This is from tendon fibers or muscle fibers. Sometimes you can get confused, but I pretty much understand the difference now. Okay, I guess I'm going to leave it at this. This is the balls that we're finding around, and those are the things that he's breaking with his chain. Are these things only? He's got small ones. These are the same things, but there's different places in the body. Like I showed you, you got your shoulders, your ankles, your hips, your, you know, all kinds of different places have different types, actually, of tendons. Some of them have them like they look like eggshells. Some of them have they look like spikes inside. Some of them have those crystals inside. All kind of different stuff. But basically, they're little tiny balls. You see this? This is really expanded. That's that little spot right here. Now it's high, you know, like this, and then you get down to where they're in the tissues of the body, and that's what you have here. These little black balls are these little black balls, and they erode out of the skin, because that's skin right there. That's skin. Right underneath is the stuff that lets your skin move around and come back to wherever the balls are anchored. That's what they are. They're anchors. Now this what they call interstitium has eroded away, and the black balls have fallen out, and that's the size of these ones. Now the rest turns into mud. The red stuff just turns into mud. Now this is skin from a different area somewhere in the desert in Utah, and all of that stuff has run off and turned to mud on the edges, but these are what they call concretions, and these are what they call the Milky Marbles. This, I believe, is in Huntington Beach, United Kingdom. I'm not certain of that, but Huntington, something like that.